Caitlin Clark just ended the New York Squad's Liberty's undefeated season in 38 seconds with 3 logo threes, 8 WNBA. Records shattered and the reigning champions left stunned on national television. However, this wasn't just a comeback. It was a full-blown basketball earthquake. Caitlin pulls the left wing and the right wing for more than 30 feet, crosses over and launches it. Oh my goodness, she's back. Let's start with the setup. The New York Liberty weren't just on a hot streak. They were dominating the league for 28 years before becoming the WNBA champions. Applause. In those 38 seconds, they not only ended the Liberty streak, but they also altered the league's perception of what is possible. They had a perfect 90-0 record going into June. Unbeaten and untouchable. Every game looked the same, so she sets it up. They don't really know how to create or execute anything in a half-court set. And the Liberty is obviously broken, but it's just moving without the ball. It's a sweet time. A slow dismantling of their opponents were suffocated by their defense, shredded by their offense, and left elite talent looking hopeless. Jonquel Jones, Sabrina Ionescu, and Brian Stewart were playing like the big three. Straight out of a super team playbook, teams would enter the Liberty games with optimism, regardless of their record or the amount of film they had watched. Everything changed on June 14th when Caitlin Clark, the reigning champion of the undefeated New York Liberty, returned to town. For the second time this year, we prepare for this game. And yes, she is returning. Caitlin Clark will play today. She missed the previous 5 games with AI. Feel like this is like, well, we're starting a new season, you guys. I'm so proud of how resilient we've been up to this point. We're going to continue to have to be, but after the rookie sensation returned to a packed Gainbridge Fieldhouse after missing 5 games due to a quad injury. What happened next wasn't a comeback, but rather a statement in front of us right now. We have a chance to keep moving forward right now. This could be a launching pad for us. We're combining effort and energy with execution, so every possession counts. Hit singles, make the play easy. Make each other better. It's our time, so let's go together on 3-1-2-3. Early in the game, Liberty appeared to be in complete control and confident. They took an 11-point lead as usual, but then Caitlin Clark completely changed the course of events. Fever erupted in the crowd when the first bomb came from 34 feet, knocking Cunningham to the ground. Caitlin pulled her left wing and buried it. Returning to the game after 31 feet, this handoff from the logo crosses over launch it, and the entire arena exploded. Oh my goodness, are you kidding me? The most dynamic player in the game scored 9 points in 38 seconds, and Caitlin scored from the right wing for the 3rd time, scoring 30-plus feet and hitting all 3. Look at the depth of these fields. Goal attempts not just 9 and 30, she's definitely feeling it. Even the MVP Brian Stewart grinned in shock as Clark directed traffic and then stepped back with the 3-over. Watching the reaction between everyone, Stewie's laughing. And Caitlin knows it's absurd, just out there enjoying herself because what she was seeing was not basketball, but art. In just 38 seconds, Clark erased the Liberty's lead, tying the game. At 24, the Liberty were never the same after that. They weren't just being outplayed. They were being overpowered, and it wasn't over yet. By halftime, Clark had scored 25 points, which was her personal best for the game. Caitlin challenged Sobi and won the game with 30 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, and 7 three-pointers. Let's take a moment to realize that no player in NBA history, not even Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi, or Maya Moore has ever recorded that total in the afternoon. And the record breaking didn't end there. In terms of career pace, Clark officially overtook Candace Parker. She now holds the record for the most 30-point, 5-rebound, 5-assist games in a player's first 2 seasons, surpassing the 2-time MVP. She also became the 4th fastest player in league history to reach 850 points, completing the feat in just 45 games. Diana Taurasi also holds the WNBA record for games with 50 points or more, which she accomplished. Not only is it amazing that Caitlin Clark has accomplished this 10 times in 565 games, but she has done it 9 times in just 45 games.
What?
Even more amazing is that Clark wasn't the only one who did it. Lexie Hull had a career night, setting personal records in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and efficiency. She leads the entire NBA in three-point percentage. And with Clark attracting attention, Hull was lethal from the team's anchor in the paint. Aaliyah Boston played like a point center beyond the arc, dishing out assists, controlling space, and locking down the rim. No other center in the league moves the ball like her. She fakes it in her dive from CC to AB, and Kelsey Mitchell scored 22 points, making clutch threes each time the Liberty tried to claw. Mitchell had just enough space to make the shot back in the game, and she buried it. Sydney Colson came off the bench with poise, scoring 10 points and dishing out 6 assists, demonstrating that this Fever roster is more deep than anyone had previously believed. She understands that this was more than just the Caitlin Clark show. It was a blueprint for a championship by the end. The Liberty were stunned by their undefeated season-ending final score of Fever 100 to Liberty 88. The message was clear. Fever not only defeated the reigning champions, but also exposed them and Caitlin. Indiana's defense disrupted New York's signature pick and roll, and their offense flowed with purpose. Not only did Clark return, but she did so with a vengeance and a performance that altered everything. This was one of those infrequent occasions when history is made and everyone in attendance is aware of it in real time. Caitlin Clark broke expectations, breaking 8 records, defeating the unbeatable team, and altering the NBA's course forever. If you believe that Caitlin Clark is the future of basketball, hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a CC record breaker in the comments so you don't miss what she does next. This was only the beginning, and she is eager to return eventually. But yes, Caitlin Clark's return is going to shock the WNBA and change everything. During her absence, Indiana Fever revolutionized the league. I've never been a patient person in my life, so this has definitely put me to the test. Caitlin's comeback is imminent, but it's not just about one player getting better. It's about a team that learned to win without her, a league that couldn't survive without her, and Caitlin returning stronger, smarter, and more dangerous than ever. However, I think it will be really beneficial for me. And as I mentioned, I've just tried to approach it as best I can. You know that I can't change it, but, well, I think my patience has definitely increased. And as I mentioned, I'm just trying to grow and learn, and I think I've done that. However, the twist is that nobody is discussing how seriously hurt she was or what the WNBA without Caitlin Clark was quickly exposed. What the hell do we do now that she's injured and saying good luck? The pressure on people to perform is increasing. Are we going to see a new Caitlin Clark? Stay tuned, because records could fall and everything could change when she returns to the court. When it was announced that Angel Reese would miss at least 2 weeks due to a quad injury, fans were worried. But few understood the full extent of her impact. Breaking news: Indiana Fever guard Caitlin Clark will be out for at least 2 weeks, according to ESPN. The former Iowa Hawkeye star is suffering from a left quad strain due to that injury. She missed the first preseason game against the Mystics on May 3rd, but she played in the next game against the Brazilian national team. It's currently unknown how she aggravated the injury, but ticket prices for the Fever's first game without her went down to $3, which is significantly less than a small popcorn. The Indiana Fever's matchup is on Friday. Despite Caitlin Clark's absence versus the Sun attracted 851,000 viewers, making it the most-watched WNBA game on ION this season. As I anticipated, the Fever doesn't garner as many views without Caitlin Clark, which is a given that everyone is aware of. I'm in front of a crowd of almost 20,000. The Caitlin versus Angel Reese rivalry was dead on arrival. Angel put on one of the season's most disappointing performances. "I'm going to get right to the point, Angel. You yelled all over the court tonight, had more turnovers than field goals made, and again went 2 for 7 with 3 turnovers and only 4 points. I believe you should give everyone a refund for what we saw out there. I could have purchased a coffee instead of watching whatever the hell that was doing. And you were out there trying to stat pad down 30 points in the fourth quarter. But you're so garbage that you couldn't even do that and managed to score 0 points in garbage time. Tickets were $3 tonight. You have any shame, Angel? Thank you." Well, $3 is a fair price because, as everyone knows, nobody would have cared about tonight's game if it weren't for Caitlin Clark, who runs this league. We were still clapped up by 30 minutes without her playing, so thank God she didn't, or else we might have lost by 50. However, I don't sell tickets. I sell victimhood, which is why we lost tonight. We lost tonight, and the message was clear: this is Caitlin Clark's league. Meanwhile, the Fever struggled in their first game without Caitlin, losing to the Mystics. I had the unpleasant task of watching the Indiana Fever play basketball without Caitlin Clark, and there were a lot of racist people there. There were many issues with this game, but from a basketball perspective, the Indiana Fever's interior defense was particularly bad. If you watched the game, you saw them give up. I believe they gave up more than 50 points in the paint. Aaliyah Boston looked like a cone down there. It was truly awful to watch, and I haven't seen a team play that poor interior defense in a long time. So they weren't even trying. It was awful to watch. This was a game you could have won against the league's youngest team, and you're playing against a bunch of rookies. This was a winnable game for the Indiana Fever, and they decided that since Caitlin Clark wasn't playing, we wouldn't even try because we knew we would lose. Remember last year's championship team, the New York Liberty, defeated Caitlin Clark by a margin of 2. Without Caitlin Clark, they look like garbage, and they're boring to watch. This brings up the question that everyone asks: why are all these people watching women's basketball? Then they suffered another crushing defeat to the Sun, a team that had been winless, and worse, they lost 2 of Caitlin's main backups, Sophie Cunningham and Sydney Colson, in that game. The roster was completely dismantled, and the season appeared to be in danger of collapsing. So let's talk about it, man. Of course, we lost Sydney first, and, I had some people say, man, nobody worried about Sydney. We don't necessarily have many playmakers, but Sydney is a very important player. That's when something unexpected happened. Arie McDonald, a hardship signing, came in and instantly changed the atmosphere. 80 Run the Fever is now on a 112 advantage due to a miscommunication. And McDonald steals the ball, sprints to the other end, and finishes. She brought pace, energy, and a much-needed spark. And suddenly, the Fever came alive again. They took revenge on the Mystics, and in a rematch against the Chicago Sky, they not only won, but completely destroyed them with a 62-point combined margin over the games, all without Caitlin. That doesn't get your engine going for Arie McDonald? You're forced to timeout. As the team developed, a different conversation began to circulate. Clark Sophie Cunningham, or their head coach Stephanie White Kelsey Mitchell, rediscovered her scoring touch. And Aaliyah Boston continued to dominate inside. Lexi Hall. She became a lethal shooter from deep, pushing for the most improved player. Because the Fever was growing up quickly. In her public remarks, Caitlin hinted at the severity of her injury. She claimed the injury occurred during the Liberty game. But she was unable to pinpoint the exact moment, and fans who had been closely observing her weren't buying it. Many thought she had been playing through pain for weeks, appearing noticeably less explosive in several games. Analysts also pointed out that she didn't look well in prison. And her lift, and the fact that Caitlin was still putting on highlights at 60 or 70%, drawing record viewership and keeping the Fever competitive. If it's true that her quickness was dulled even before the Liberty game, changes everything. But what if she returns at full strength and the Fever knows she's playing through an injury and keeps putting her on? Here's Florence Wow from Beyond the Logo and a little later. If this was a managed risk that ultimately forced her out, the team and league had every reason to be evasive about what happened. The floor is a liability nightmare. We're talking about a player who is estimated to bring close to $1 billion in value to the NBA this season alone actually happened. I'm not a lawyer, but the conspiracy isn't crazy. In fact, it might be the best news possible because if Caitlin has taken the time to heal completely, we may be about to see her at her best. Her attitude during her recuperation gives us even more hope, and even though she has been sidelined, she hasn't disengaged. On the contrary, she is immersing herself in film studies from Caitlin Clark, who is out with that lower leg and has publicly stated that she misses practice more than anything. Not just games that love the grind is on the bench and acting almost like a Coach 22 in blue for the Fear. It's uncommon and serves as a warning to the rest of the league that she is not a very patient person. But how is this kind of tested? I believe it's an opportunity to grow, right? Try to approach it as best as you can. It's strange, but sometimes the hardest part is just not being able to participate in practice. I love practice, but not everyone enjoys coming to practice every day. But that's something I really enjoy doing. So I really enjoy coming out here and competing every single day. Day with my teammates is probably what I miss the most. To be honest, I miss the games, which is true for anyone who has ever been hurt. But even though she was injured, she helped teammates from the sidelines by sharing her knowledge. During timeouts and acting as a liaison between the players and the coaching staff. Now, she combines that leadership growth with a Fever squad that has figured out how to win without her. And the formula is dangerous. Ari McDonald should stay in the rotation. Mitchell is hot, Boston is a force, and Hull's confidence is growing. Then a fully healthy Caitlin Clark enters the mix. The timing couldn't be better. And the difference between the WNBA with and without her has never been more obvious. The league's reliance on Clark has been put to the test. And now that she is returning, records may drop once more. The stakes are high, and the WNBA is set to feel the full impact of her return. The Fever have shown they can win without her. The league has shown it cannot survive without her. And now Caitlin Clark's ticket prices are already rising for games where her return is anticipated, and rival teams have had their chance. But now they're going to face a Fever squad that's deeper, more confident, and led by the league's most dangerous player. She's going to return stronger, smarter, and with something to prove. If she was attracting millions of viewers and driving the league's narrative at 70%, what happens now that she's rested and prepared? The answer is straightforward. The WNBA is about to change again. And Caitlin Clark has gained a new coach's mindset. A clearer understanding of how to elevate her teammates, and a fire that has only gotten stronger while she was sidelined. Is spearheading the push. So if you're prepared to witness Caitlin Clark rewrite the season's narrative, hit like and leave a trophy emoji in the comments section. When she returns to the court, it won't just be a comeback. It will be a statement. Return. And you won't want to miss it.